The world welcomed Generation Z/Z, and change was afoot.
It was all so new, and it was all so fast. We were just like in a speeding car and along for the ride.
Meanwhile, Placebo were pushing boundaries. New on the scene, they'd set out to reintroduce a flavour of confusion to British pop culture.
We hadn't really been a band for that long, and it kind of felt like we'd sort of tricked people into taking us seriously, and that sooner or later we were going to be found out. We were just so surprised that like our third single had been so successful, and that we were sort of being invited to take part in this, British cultural institution.
Nancy Boy, that was just an instant floor filler. It had this droning feel to it, and then the lyrics were just like, just another Nancy Boy. The sarcasm, the bitterness to it.
I remember there being at least about 43 complaints after our performance of Nancy Boy, because people couldn't figure out my gender, and that disturbed them for some reason. But that was kind of our jam at the time, We were quite pleased about that, really.
There was a fuss about Placebo because Brian was quite androgynous.
Oh, is it a girl? Is it a boy?
There was some moral outrage from people who were, they're basically being homophobic, but I couldn't see any reason why you wouldn't have Nancy Boy on, because it was a brilliant song. End of story.
We wanted to bring a little bit of gender fluidity to the music scene, and a little bit of confusion. I think confusion is good when it comes to music. I wanted every homophobe in the audience to think that I was sexy and a girl, and then have to go home and ask themselves a few questions.
Placebo had shaken things up, but at the BBC there were limits. What about those dancers?
We brought the most outrageous characters from the music video to the studio, that's right, and they weren't allowed to perform. That I had completely forgotten about that, because it was too out there, too sexy, too homoerotic perhaps, it was just too much. They weren't professional dancers, they were more gyrators than dancers, to be honest. They were people that we knew from nightclubs, really.
Placebo returned, this time minus gyrating dancers, with Bruise Pristine.
We stuck out like a sore thumb, and the songs were talking to people, I guess, who felt that most mainstream music wasn't speaking to them, and we didn't realize how many misfits, misshapes, or square pegs there were out there, and we seemed to kind of attract them all at that point. All I set out to achieve was to never have to get a job. And 27, 28 years later, it's still working.